For 1,000 years, humans were only a warning. Across the Soren Reach, elders spoke their name in quiet rooms. Soldiers used it before battle, not as hope, but as fear. Scholars said humanity was a dead race, lost to its own violence. No living map showed Earth. No temple held human bones. No ship carried their flag. Only broken stories remained. The Orion Concord ruled after them. Its leaders claimed they had brought peace to the stars. Their laws reached thousands of worlds. Their fleets guarded trade lanes. Their council halls shone with gold and glass. But peace built on comfort is fragile. When the Krull Ascendancy began its conquest, the Concord moved too slowly. The Krull did not raid and flee. They stayed. They burned defenses, took prisoners, and turned free colonies into slave outposts. The Concord debated. The border worlds died. On Ilaris 9, Governor Salen Voss stood inside a damaged command tower as the sky turned red. Krull ships filled orbit. Their shadows covered the city below. The colony shield flickered every few seconds, weaker each time. In the shelters, children held their parents in silence. In the streets, soldiers waited behind broken walls. None of them believed help was coming, but Salen sent one last message anyway. To the Orion Concord, this is Ilaris 9. We cannot hold. Send aid. The screen remained empty. Then the Krull commander appeared on every public channel. His face was pale and sharp, with 4 cold eyes and a smile made for cruelty. "Kneel," he said, "and some of you may live." Salen looked at the terrified officers around her. Her hands shook, but she lifted her chin. "We will not kneel." The Krull weapons began to charge. Before the first blast fell, space above Ilaris 9 tore open. It was not a clean jump gate. It looked violent, like the darkness itself had been cut apart. A bright wound burned in orbit, and from it emerged ships the galaxy had never seen. They were huge, black, and scarred. Their hulls were angular, ugly, and powerful, built for survival rather than beauty. They carried no Concord colors. For the first time that day, the Krull hesitated. A voice crossed every channel. "This is Admiral Lyra Dane of the Terran Remnant Fleet." Salen stopped breathing. Terran meant human. The voice continued, calm but heavy. "We buried your name. You forgot our dead, but we heard the children crying." The Krull commander screamed for his fleet to fire. Plasma struck the lead Terran ship and wrapped it in white fire. The ship did not fall. Then it answered. Metal rounds crossed space faster than thought. Krull shields shattered. Their warships split open one after another, spilling fire into the orbit they had come to control. On Ilaris 9, survivors looked up through smoke and falling ash. The myth had returned, not as a ghost, as an army. The humans saved Ilaris 9, but their first message to the Orion Concord would turn fear into panic across the stars. The last Krull ship broke apart above Ilaris 9 before sunset. No celebration came from the Terran fleet. On the bridge of the TNS Dawnbreaker, officers worked in silence, tracking wreckage, escape craft, and civilian damage below. These were not warriors enjoying victory. They looked like people who had seen too much of it. Admiral Lyra Dane stood at the center of the bridge. "Status," she said. Commander Hale answered from the tactical station. "Enemy flagship destroyed. 6 military escape craft leaving the field." "Disable them. Capture the commanders." Hale glanced at her. Alive? The galaxy needs witnesses. Below, Governor Salen Voss stepped out from a shelter with hundreds of survivors. The city smelled of ash, metal, and burned stone. Some people expected the new arrivals to demand tribute. Others feared that one conqueror had simply replaced another. Then the first human landing craft opened. Medics came down first. They carried water, bandages, portable shields, and emergency food packs. Engineers followed with power cells and repair drones. Armored soldiers guarded the streets, but their weapons faced outward, toward danger, not toward the civilians. A tall human officer removed his helmet near Salen. "I am Captain Jonah Rusk. We are here to keep your people alive." Salen watched a human medic kneel beside a wounded child. The gentleness of it hurt more than she expected. "Why would you help us?" she asked. Jonah looked toward the broken city. "Because no one came when our people called." Salen had no answer. The Concord had promised order for generations. It had raised banners, spoken of unity, and asked the border worlds for loyalty. Yet when Alaris 9 faced death, only the forgotten humans arrived. Far away on Varion, capital of the Orion Concord, the Council watched the battle record in stunned silence. High Speaker Marrow Talon sat beneath the great crystal dome, surrounded by leaders who no longer looked certain of anything. The Krull had been a problem for decades. They had taken colonies, broken treaties, and humiliated the Concord's patrol fleets. Humanity had erased one of their assault groups in minutes. Then a new transmission filled the chamber. Admiral Lyra Dane appeared on the central screen. Her black uniform was plain. On her shoulder was a symbol none of them had seen outside ancient forbidden archives, a rising sun behind Earth. "You abandoned Alaris 9. You abandoned many before it. Do not call that peace." No one interrupted. "From this moment, any world left undefended may request Terran protection. If they call, we will answer." The screen went dark. Marrow felt the true danger immediately. Humanity had not asked for a seat at the Council. It had not threatened every empire. It had done something more powerful. It had offered the abandoned a choice. Across the border systems, desperate colonies began listening. The first colony to call humanity would reveal a secret the Concord had buried since the fall of Earth. The first request came from Haroon's Belt. It was a mining moon on the frozen edge of Concord territory, poor, distant, and easy to ignore. Its people lived under metal domes, digging ore from ice and stone. They had no battle fleet, no noble bloodlines, and no voice strong enough to reach the council floor. For months, Crow raiders had taken their supply ships. The moon had begged the Concord for protection. No warships came. After Alaris 9, the governor of Haroon's Belt sent a message on an open channel. "To the Terran Remnant Fleet, if your promise was real, we ask for protection." The message was heard by everyone. The Krull heard it. The Concord heard it. Humanity answered. On the Dawnbreaker, Admiral Lyra read the request twice. The words were simple, but she could feel the fear behind them. Commander Hale stood beside her. "If we go, the Concord will call it occupation." Lyra turned from the screen. "Did they defend that moon?" "No." "Then their claim is weaker than the people's right to live." 3 Terran ships jumped toward Haroon's Belt. On Varion, the council erupted. High Speaker Marrow slammed his palm against the table. "They cannot move into our systems without permission." Ambassador Krell of the Vaughn clans leaned forward. "The moon invited them." That sentence struck harder than any accusation. It exposed the weakness no one wanted to name. The Concord had authority, but humanity had action. Before the argument could grow, a young archivist entered the chamber. Her name was Lyra Dane, and her face was pale. "High Speaker, I found something in the restricted vault." Marrow frowned. "This is not the time. It concerns humanity." The room quieted. Lyra placed a glowing data core into the projector. Static filled the air, then a broken recording appeared. Old human ships drifted near Earth. Concord vessels surrounded them. At first, it looked like rescue. Then the Concord ships fired. A human voice screamed through the damaged audio. "We trusted you. Earth is still calling. Do not close the route. There are billions alive." The recording cut out. No one moved. Marrow stared at the empty projection. The official history said humans destroyed themselves. It said the Concord arrived too late to save them. This file told another story, a betrayal. At that same moment, above Haroon's belt, Krull ships entered orbit to punish the moon for calling the Terrans. Their weapons began to charge over the largest civilian dome. Then, 3 Terran warships arrived between the moon and the guns. Captain Jonah Rusk opened a channel from the Iron Mercy. This moon asked for help. His ship armed its forward cannons, and help has arrived. The battle over Haroon's belt would be quick, but the hidden record would point both sides toward the lost road to Earth. Haroon's belt had never been designed to face an invasion. Its shield domes protected workers from storms, not orbital weapons. Its defense grid was old. Its people were miners, engineers, teachers, and children who knew more about frozen tunnels than war. The Krull commander expected fear to do most of his work. He entered orbit with 7 ships and sent one message: "Reject the humans, or your domes will open to the cold." No answer came from the moon. Instead, the TNS Iron Mercy moved forward. Captain Jonah Rusk stood on its bridge, hands clasped behind his back. He watched the enemy ships spread into attack formation. The Krull laughed over the channel. "You bring 3 vessels to defend an entire moon?" Jonah replied, "I brought enough." The Krull fired first. Plasma storms rushed across orbit. The Terran ships split apart in perfect formation. Their shields flared under the impact, but none broke. Then the Iron Mercy answered. The first round punched through a Krull cruiser and threw its remains into a second ship. The next disabled the destroyer before its guns could recharge. The third shattered the command vessel's engine core. The battle ended in 11 minutes. In the shelters below, the people of Haroon's belt stared at the monitors. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then an old miner removed his helmet and began to cry. Others followed. They had begged for help for months. Humanity had come in less than an hour. On Varion, High Speaker Morrow watched the report while the council argued around him. His words blurred together. His mind remained fixed on the recording from the vault. "Earth is still calling. Do not close the route. Billions alive." He summoned Lyra Dane to a private archive beneath the council chamber. Was there anything else with the recording? Lyra hesitated. A damaged star map. She activated it. Most of the map was corrupted, but one route still glowed faintly. It passed through an unmarked region beyond the old border. Modern charts showed nothing there except warnings and missing probes. At the end of the route was a name removed from every public record: Soul. Morrow felt the room tilt beneath him. Someone had not only hidden the truth about humanity,
Someone had erased the path to its home. Far away, the same map reached Admiral Lyra through an anonymous channel. She stood alone as Sol appeared before her. For years, Earth had been memory without direction. Now it had coordinates. A second message followed. Earth was not destroyed, it was moved beyond sight. Do not trust the Concord archive. Lyra closed her eyes, and when she opened them, grief had become purpose. She said, "Call the fleet." Humanity had protected the forgotten. Now it would search for the lost. The route to Earth led into the Ashen Veil, a region where ships vanished and even the Krull refused to hunt.
The Terran fleet gathered in silence. Admiral Lyra did not take every ship. Ilaris 9 and Haroon's Belt still needed protection, and she would not leave them helpless after asking them to trust humanity. Instead, she chose 9 vessels, including the Dawnbreaker and the Iron Mercy. Before departure, she addressed the crews. "We are following a route erased from history. At its end may be Earth or another lie. Either way, we go for the truth." No one cheered. The moment was too heavy for that. Across the ships, humans touched old family objects before the jump. A ring, a cracked photograph, a child's drawing of blue oceans copied from ancient lessons. Earth had shaped their lives without ever appearing in their skies. Commander Hale joined Lyra near the main display. "The route enters the Ashen Veil," he said. "I know. No probe has returned from there in centuries." Lyra studied the faint line on the map. "Then we stopped sending probes." The ships jumped. Hours later, they emerged before a region of space that seemed wrong at first glance. Stars flickered as if something stood between them and the fleet. Sensor readings bent, failed, and returned impossible numbers. The hulls creaked under pressures no one could identify. Hale's voice lowered. "Navigation is unstable. Hold formation." The fleet crossed the edge of the veil. Every screen filled with static. Then a signal appeared. Weak, ancient, human. Lyra stepped closer. "Play it." A broken voice filled the bridge. "This is Earth Defense Command. To any surviving human vessels, do not follow the light. The gate is alive. Repeat, the gate is alive." The message dissolved into noise. No one moved. Captain Jonah's voice came from the Iron Mercy. "Admiral, we are receiving the same warning." Lyra looked into the darkness ahead. A glow appeared where no star should be. It did not shine like normal light. It opened slowly, like an eye waking inside space itself. Then the fleet began drifting toward it. "Engines," Lyra ordered. Hale worked fast. "Full reverse, no effect." The glow grew larger. Inside Lyra's mind, a voice whispered deep and tired. "Children of Earth, you have walked too long in exile." Several officers staggered. One fell to his knees, hands over his ears. Lyra forced herself to stand still. "Who are you?" The answer moved through the ship like cold wind. "The lock, the wound, the last guard of the stolen world." The eye opened fully, and the path to Earth waited behind it. The guardian of the Ashen Veil would allow humans to pass, but only after showing them why Earth had been caged. The black eye held the fleet in place. It was not a machine the Terrans could scan, nor a creature they could understand. Its surface moved with dark light, folding space around it like water around stone. The ship's engines pushed against its pull, but the fleet remained trapped. Admiral Lyra kept her voice steady. "You said you guard the stolen world. Where is Earth?" The answer came inside every human mind. Hidden, protected, imprisoned. 3 words, each worse than the last. Before Lyra could respond, alarms sounded across the bridge. Commander Hale turned sharply. "Krull ships, they followed our jump trail." A damaged Krull task force appeared behind the fleet. Their commander opened a channel, his voice full of pleasure. "Even human ghosts can bleed." His ships prepared to fire. The Eye reacted first. A wave of black energy spread through the veil. It passed over the Terran ships without harm and struck the Krull vessels. Shields vanished, engines collapsed, hulls folded inward as if crushed by invisible hands. The Krull commander screamed once, then the task force disappeared. Silence returned. Captain Jonah spoke from the Iron Mercy. "That thing protected us." The Eye answered. "Human blood may approach Earth. Human anger may not command it." The main screen changed. A vision appeared. Earth hung in space, blue and alive. Around it turned enormous silver rings, each one marked with old Concord symbols. Beneath the image, thousands of faint distress calls flickered like dying sparks. Lyra stared at the planet she had never seen, the home every human child had imagined. Hale whispered, "It is real." The vision shifted again. Old human ships burned near Earth. Conquered vessels blocked escape lanes. Civilians cried through overloaded channels. A gate closed while voices begged for help. Then a wounded human officer placed her hand on a control panel and sealed part of the prison from inside. Lyra understood with horror. The Conquered trapped Earth, but a human completed the lock. The Eye replied, "To keep the thing below from reaching the stars." What thing? The vision darkened. For 1 second, Lyra saw a shadow beneath Earth's surface, vast and patient, touching minds like fingers through smoke. Then the image vanished. The cage opens only with memory, truth, and restraint. Fire will free the enemy. Rage will feed it. The fleet was released. A clear route appeared through the veil, leading to the hidden system. Lyra turned to Hale. "Set course." He looked at her carefully. "For Earth?" "For Earth," she said, "and whatever has been waiting beneath it." The ships moved forward. Behind them, the Eye slowly closed. Ahead, Sol returned to human sight. Earth was alive, but opening its prison would test whether humanity had returned as saviors or conquerors. Earth appeared at the end of the hidden route. For a moment, the bridge of the Dawnbreaker forgot how to breathe. No lesson, painting, or memory fragment had prepared them for the real thing. Blue oceans turned under white clouds. Continents glowed green and brown beneath sunlight. Then the silver rings came into view. They circled the planet in slow, perfect motion, beautiful from a distance and cruel up close. They were not decoration. They were chains. Admiral Lyra stood before the screen, fighting the urge to reach toward it. Commander Hale checked the readings. "The rings bend local space. If we damage the wrong section, the energy could collapse inward." "Can we open them?" "Only through the control sequence. The Guardian said memory and truth." A transmission arrived from Varion before they could continue. High Speaker Morrow Talon appeared. His face was tired, almost hollow. "Admiral Dane, do not interfere with the prison." Lyra's eyes turned cold. "You knew enough to warn us. I found fragments, not all of it. Your council built those rings." Morrow did not deny it. Lyra stepped closer to the screen. "You turned our home into a secret and our people into a rumor." Morrow's voice shook. "If the cage fails, something worse than war may escape." That warning should have been given centuries ago. The channel ended. On Varion, Morrow stood before a council that shouted over itself. Some demanded an attack on the Terran fleet. Others wanted to deny the archives and destroy the evidence. Lyra Sen stood beside him. "Tell them, before humanity opens it without us." Morrow looked at the leaders around him and finally spoke with force. "The humans are not the first danger. Our lie is." The chamber fell silent. In Earth orbit, Lyra prepared the first access attempt. No weapons were armed, no missiles loaded. Terran ships moved into positions around the nearest silver ring with careful precision. Hale studied an old signal pattern found inside the lullaby disc Lyra carried. It had belonged to her grandmother, passed down through generations of exile. "This song has embedded code," he said. Lyra looked at him. "My grandmother carried a key? Maybe many families did, without knowing." Lyra closed her hand around the disc. "Then our ancestors gave us more than grief." She ordered the broadcast. The old melody crossed the void. At first, nothing happened. Then the nearest silver ring trembled. A lock opened. For the first time in 900 years, Earth's cage began to move. The first ring opened, and an ancient defense system woke up, deciding that the humans in orbit might be enemies. The opening ring released a deep blue light. It passed over the Terran fleet, soft at first, then sharp enough to make every alarm on the Dawnbreaker scream. Panels flashed red, shields rose automatically. Commander Hale looked up from his station. "Command, weapons are activating inside the ring." On the main screen, hidden cannons unfolded from the silver structure. Their design was human, older than any ship in the Terran fleet. They had been waiting for centuries. A mechanical voice filled the channel. "Earth quarantine remains active. Unknown fleet must withdraw." Admiral Lyra answered at once. "This is Admiral Lyra Dane of the Terran Remnant Fleet. We are human survivors." The defense system replied, "Humanity beyond quarantine is classified as possible contamination." The bridge went still. Not enemy, contamination. Hale's face tightened. "It thinks we may carry the hollow star's influence." "Send identity records." Rejected. "Send genetic proof." Rejected. The cannons charged. Hale lowered his voice. "If they fire, shields will not hold forever." Lyra looked at Earth below, then at the old human weapons aimed at her people. "Do not return fire." The first blast struck the Iron Mercy. Its shield flared white and cracked along one side. Captain Jonah appeared on screen, blood near his eyebrow. "We are still here," he said. "Hold position," Lyra replied. A second blast hit another ship, then a third. No Terran vessel fired back. On Varion, the Concord Council watched the live feed. Many had expected humanity to answer insult with violence. Instead, the Terrans endured damage rather than risk the planet. Lyra whispered, "They are proving the machine wrong." Marrow nodded, shame heavy in his face. "And proving us wrong, too." On the Dawnbreaker, Lyra realized the defense system was not asking for data. It was asking for memory, something machines had been taught to trust when records could be altered. She removed the small disc from her necklace. "My grandmother's lullaby. Broadcast it again, but include the colony records." Hale hesitated. "All of them?" "All names, all births, all deaths, every proof that humanity survived without forgetting Earth." The signal went out.
The lullaby played with thousands of voices behind it, children born in hidden stations, crews lost in dark space, families who carried Earth in stories when maps had failed them. The cannon stopped. The mechanical voice returned, quieter now. Memory accepted. Survival confirmed. The first ring opened fully. A channel cleared through the cage. Below, Earth sent its first direct signal. "This is Earth Watch Command. Do not enter without permission." Lyra closed her eyes. They were home. But home was afraid. Humanity had reached Earth, but the people below had spent centuries fearing anyone who came from beyond the cage. The first shuttle descended through Earth's sky. Admiral Lyra sat near the front, silent as clouds surrounded the craft. Commander Hale watched the window like a man seeing a miracle. Historian Elias Noor held the Terran records in both hands, afraid they might vanish if he loosened his grip. None of them spoke until sunlight filled the cabin. Hale whispered, "It feels warm." Lyra almost smiled. "It is a sun." "He knew," he said. "I just never felt one through real air." The shuttle landed inside a walled city called Bastion Astor. Its towers were old but maintained. Streets were clean, yet strangely empty. Civilians watched from behind glass barriers. They were human, but their faces carried suspicion instead of joy. Director Amara Whale waited at the landing zone with armed guards. She was old, thin, and severe. Her gray hair was tied back. Her eyes studied Lyra as if deciding whether she was a miracle or a threat. Lyra stepped onto Earth's soil. For one heartbeat she could not move. The ground was real beneath her boots. "We came home," she said softly. Amara's expression changed for a moment, almost breaking. Then she hit it. "You came to a world still under quarantine. We are human." So were the first people who opened their minds to the Hollow Star. The name made Lyra remember the shadow shown by the Guardian. Amara turned toward the city gates. "Walk with me. You need to see what survival cost us." They moved through Bastion Astor. Children were guided indoors as they passed. Public screens displayed emotional control notices. Every street had shelters. Every school had evacuation symbols. Earth did not look conquered, but it did not look free either. Elias looked shaken. "You lived like this for 900 years?" Amara answered without stopping. "We lived. That was victory enough." They entered a guarded elevator. It descended far below the city, past bright walls, then old metal, then stone. At the bottom was a chamber large enough to hold a cathedral. In its center stood a black door, covered with moving veins of darkness. Machines surrounded it, feeding power into seals that never stopped trembling. Lyra felt the whisper before anyone spoke. A soft voice inside her thoughts. "Child of exile, you brought your anger home." Amara watched Lyra's face. "Now you know why we feared you." Lyra forced herself to look at the door. "What is behind it?" Amara's answer was quiet. "The war the Concord trapped us with." Beneath Earth, humanity's oldest enemy awoke and reached first for Lyra's pain.
The chamber around the black door felt colder than the rest of Earth. Director Amara led Lyra, Hale, and Elias to a control platform overlooking the seals. Engineers watched nervous readings. Guards stood at every entrance, though their weapons seemed useless against the darkness moving beneath the door's surface. Director Amara activated a hologram. "This is what our ancestors called the Hollow Star. The image showed ancient Earth before the cage, crowded, bright, and alive. Then a shadow entered the system. It was not a fleet. It did not bombard cities. It whispered into minds. Nations heard old fears as fresh commands. Friends became enemies. Leaders saw betrayal in every ally. Armies fired before understanding why. The hollow star feeds on fear and hatred, Amara said. It grows by turning pain into obedience. When Earth begged the Concord for help, they came. Then they realized the enemy could spread through emotion, memory, and contact. Hale's voice hardened. So they sealed the planet? Yes, Amara replied. They saved the galaxy by abandoning Earth. Elias stepped closer to the hologram. But someone inside helped build the lock. Amara nodded. Earth Defense Command made the final seal. If the Concord had controlled everything, they might have used the hollow star as a weapon. Our ancestors made sure no one could open the cage with force alone. The black door pulsed. Lyra heard the whisper again. They left you outside the sky. They stole your home. Let me give you justice. Images flooded her mind. Hidden human colonies starving in deep space. Children learning about oceans from broken screens. Ilaris 9 burning while the Concord debated. The old recording of human ships being fired upon near Earth. Her anger rose like fire. Hale saw her face change. Admiral? The voice became sweeter. Open the door. I will make every liar kneel. Lyra took one step forward before Amara caught her arm. Do not answer it. Lyra pulled in a shaking breath. It knows me. It knows wounds, Amara said. That is all it needs. Alarms rang through the chamber. One of the engineers shouted, "Seal pressure rising. It is reacting to the fleet in orbit." Hale received a report. Ships are hearing whispers. Some crew members are arguing, losing focus. The hollow star had found a new food source, centuries of Terran grief carried by thousands of survivors. Lyra steadied herself. Connect me to the fleet. The channel opened. Her voice moved through every Terran ship. This enemy will use what we suffered. It will speak with our pain. Do not let it command you. The black door shook harder. The whisper hissed. You could rule them all. Lyra stared at the moving darkness. No, she said. We came to bring humanity home, not lose it here. To stop the hollow star, Lyra would have to ask the Concord for help before revenge destroyed them all.
The hollow star pushed harder against the seal. In orbit, Terran ships reported rising tension across their crews. Old memories turned sharp. Small arguments became dangerous. Some officers heard voices of dead parents. Others saw the Concord ships from the ancient betrayal firing again and again. On Earth, the sealed chamber trembled. Lyra opened a secured channel to the Iron Mercy. Captain Jonah appeared, pale but steady. Admiral, half my bridge crew heard the same whisper. It promised justice. What did you tell them? That justice does not sound like something begging to be released. Despite everything, Lyra almost smiled. Hold your people together. She turned to Elias Noor, who was studying the records he had carried from the fleet. You said our history may help. Explain. Elias looked at the black door. The hollow star feeds on buried pain. Maybe the seal weakens because that pain has never been spoken honestly. Amara listened carefully. Earth survived by control. We taught people to suppress fear, anger, even grief. It kept us alive, but it also left the wound untouched. Lyra understood the other half, and the Concord survived by lying. Hale looked between them. Then truth is not just moral, it may be structural. The chamber shook again. Lyra made the hardest decision of her life. Open a channel to Varion. High Speaker Morrow appeared. Behind him, the council chamber was in chaos. Lyra did not waste time. The hollow star is waking. It feeds on hatred and hidden guilt. If it escapes, it will not stop at Earth. Morrow's face drained of color. What do you need? The truth, publicly. No careful language, no excuses. The council behind him erupted in protest. Morrow looked at Lyra Sen. She nodded once. Then he faced the chamber, the Terran fleet, Earth, and every listening world. This is High Speaker Morrow Talon. The Orion Concord has lied for centuries. Our ancestors abandoned Earth, sealed humanity inside danger, and erased the root to hide their shame. The humans beyond the cage were also left to suffer. We called them myths because truth would have condemned us. The words crossed the stars. The hollow star screamed inside the chamber. Lyra felt its grip weaken. She opened her own channel. This is Admiral Lyra Dane. Humanity was betrayed. We were scattered, hunted, and forgotten. But today, revenge serves the thing beneath Earth. We will not feed it. Elias began transmitting the Terran records, names of colonies, births, deaths, songs, distress calls, and promises kept in exile. Earth added its own records, centuries of survival behind walls. The Concord added the confession. The seal changed color, not breaking, transforming. Amara looked up in disbelief. It is accepting the truth. The black door cracked, and the hollow star screamed again. This time, it sounded afraid. The final battle would not be fought by hiding pain, but by turning truth into the weapon the darkness could not consume.
The last seal opened under a storm of voices. Human songs from lost fleets, Earthwatch records, names of the dead, confessions from the Concord, messages from Alaris 9 and Haroon's belt. Every hidden wound was brought into the open, not to feed hatred, but to end silence. Above Earth, Terran warships and Concord vessels formed a single line around the silver rings. Their crews sent power into the ancient structure, while engineers from both sides worked through shared channels. Below, Lyra stood before the black door with Amara, Hale, Elias, and Marrow. The hollow star spoke one final time. You are wounded. You are divided. You will always return to hate. Lyra felt its voice searching for a place inside her. It found grief. It found anger. It found the memory of every human child who had grown up without a sky. But it did not find obedience. She stepped forward. Yes, we are wounded. The chamber quieted around her. But wounds are not masters. Pain is not destiny. You do not get to decide what humanity becomes. Marrow lowered his head and added, nor what the Concord becomes. Amara placed her hand on the Earth control panel. For 900 years, we survived by fear. Today, we choose more than survival. Hale gave the final command. The silver rings above Earth shifted. The prison became a shield, not facing inward anymore, but closing around the darkness below. The black door folded in on itself. The veins of shadow pulled back, twisting, shrinking, screaming without sound. The hollow star tried to feed on rage. It found truth. It tried to feed on guilt. It found confession. It tried to feed on fear. It found people standing together despite it. Then the darkness collapsed. The chamber went still. For the first time in 900 years, Earth was not a prison. Days later, the gates of Bastion Astro opened. Children from the Terran fleet walked under a real sky beside children born on Earth. Some laughed, some cried, some simply stood in sunlight, too overwhelmed to move.
Lyra knelt and touched the soil with trembling fingers. Behind her, Marrow spoke softly. "I will not ask forgiveness." "Good," Lyra said. He accepted that. After a moment, she looked back at him. "But you can help build something honest." "I will," he said. The Orion Concord never returned to its old power. The Terran Remnant did not replace it with an empire of revenge. Together, with Earth and the border worlds, they formed the Dawn Accord, a fragile alliance built on memory, truth, and protection. It was not perfect. Nothing born from so much pain could be perfect at first. But it was real. In the years that followed, children no longer learned that humans were myths. They learned that humanity was lost, endured the dark, found its way home, and stood before revenge with every reason to choose it. Then chose the future instead. Humanity returned to the stars, not to rule through fear, but to prove that even a broken galaxy could begin again. May this message strengthen your faith and renew your hope. Thank you for staying until the end. If this touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe to Astro Realms for more uplifting content. May God's blessings overflow in your life. See you soon.